I'm Sarah Star, your galactic guide, here with your space weather for February the 28th. First off, solar activity is very low and unsettled, but it's still active enough that sensitive people are feeling it. We have multiple sunspot regions here on our disk. We do have 4378. This is that old returning region, 4336, that gave us multiple X-class flares. It was more of the flares, but without the ejecta. Now that region is returning, but like I said, most of these sunspot regions are very low in a state of decay. The only one that is more magnetically complex than the others is this region 4380, mostly on the southern disk of the sun right over here. But yeah, we're not looking at too much potential here, so low and slow solar weather again. We do have an isolated flare probability just because of that region 4380. So the current solar flare threat that we're looking at is about an 80% with those C-class flares, because we are getting minor C-class flares that are popping off. M-class flare probability is at a 25%, but like I said, everything is pretty low and slow. Isolated chance of having those M-class flares for today. Here's a more in-depth look at a couple of those regions here. Like I said, 4380 right over here is in beta and gamma range, but look at the flare threat percentages, pretty low, 5% chance of having an M-class flare from this region, and this is the more active region that we have. If we do look at 4381, this does have a 10% chance, but this is a newer region that is popping off on the side of the sun. And then we also have this region down below, 4378. This was old region 4336. As you can see, diminished significantly, but still a 10% chance of having an M-class flare, but pretty much nothing's going on. We're getting low probable C-class flares. Here's another look at our sun, and this is what is going to point out the coronal holes. So these are openings within our sun that are magnetically charged. They create tethers to different cosmic webs, and they can increase solar winds and geomagnetic activity. Well, we have two of them. We have numbered region 28 now and 24. One is located on the top hemisphere of the sun. The other one is in the southern hemisphere. Not much going on with our sunspot regions or the coronal holes in general, but energetically, solar days that can feel slow still have this buzzing that is underneath the skin for people who are sensitive. So restless sleep, brain fog, that will be mixed with this random clarity that's coming. We'll talk about astrology here in a second, but there's this feeling of being very tired but wired at the same time. You can't shut your brain off. There's this emotional sensitivity that creeps in about feeling that you want to do something, but you don't know what that something is yet. Let's take a look at our 3-day geomagnetic forecast. So here on the 28th, you can see we're going to get into a KP3. Still on March the 1st, we're going to be in those KP3 levels as well. We may see on the 2nd going into an active KP4 level. But what I'm seeing is minor geomagnetic activity if we get into a G1 minor geomagnetic storm. This is due to a very slow moving CME that is going to be popping up here, mostly on the 1st, and then heading and dipping back out on the 2nd. But I feel like today is a warm-up. So while this is not an all-out solar storm, what we're feeling right now is this pressure cooker energy. We have the lunar eclipse that is going to be phasing us out. But what we're seeing is this background hum. There's a background hum that is stirring things up from the surface. This is producing that recalibration timeline. How this tends to feel is more sensitivity, more emotional processing. This is where your nervous system gets activated. This is where you're going to have this random irritability that is going to step out from nowhere, but a stronger intuition is going to follow with it. So if you're feeling edgy, do not spiral. It is not the time. We have Mercury retrograde in Pisces, not the time. What you want to do instead is hydrate your body. Your body is feeling too much of this invisible energy, and if you're sensitive, you need to ground that out. So go outside, enjoy nature. Why not? Protect your sleep as well. Stop doom scrolling. They love it. I know they're pushing in the headlines, they're pushing in the global networks. Big stuff is happening. I understand that. They do this on purpose. It's timed. Now the sky tonight, because yes, the planet parade is real. Shortly after sunset, you can catch a lineup stretched along the ecliptic plane. You're looking at Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus, and Jupiter. Mercury and Venus and Saturn are going to sit low in the west, and Jupiter is going to be much higher. But Uranus, Neptune, they're going to be faint. They usually need binoculars or a telescope to see, But this is not going to be a tight clump. This is going to be a very long arc across the sky. But the astrology vibes today are heavy. We are feeling the energy tone. Now, while all of these planets look like they're in a pretty line, they are not aligned kind of at all. They're on different axes, different degrees. So it's not the most significant planet parade that we have, but it is an alignment that is going to change the tone when we have this lunar eclipse coming up here on the 3rd. The astrology vibe today is very different. We're in this heavy Pisces energy tone right now. This is what is going to amplify intuition. This is going to amplify your dreams, your emotional security. This is going to be those spiritual downloads. But we do have at the same time Saturn, Neptune in early Aries degrees. They are starting a brand new chapter that is going to say, take what you have been feeling, turn that into action, because we need foundational steps for what is coming next. We also have Uranus in Taurus. It's going to shake up money. It's going to shake up stability and your body. But also on top of that, Jupiter in Cancer, amplifying the emotional truth out of everything surrounding you in present day reality. Your past is going to come up, future may be tapped into, but there is going to be a need for safety with all of these different energies that are coming online. Mercury is all about messages in the mind. When we go into Venus, Venus is all about love and value. Now we jump into Jupiter. Jupiter is growth and opportunity. Saturn is that structure, that discipline. Uranus is about breaking through and surprises, which are popping up. And then Neptune is really that more spiritual vision, that sensitivity. The planet parade is not something to ignore, but what is coming next is going to ultimately phase us out. Because Tuesday is going to bring that blood moon lunar eclipse, March 3rd, peaking at 6:33 a.m. What we're going to see is this total lunar eclipse phasing out. We had the solar eclipse happen. We had the drop of the epiphiles. We had the UFO file drop. And we also have this new war that is starting. But this total lunar eclipse is going to phase in and keep all of the emotions and the lessons that we have learned. But these are releasing points. So humanity needs to start revealing and releasing the emotions that are stuck inside of you, because lunar eclipses, they tend to pull out those buried emotions to the surface. So they're going to close out the old cycles that have happened, and it's going to force clarity from here on out. So if you feel raw, or you just feel done, or like the truth is rising within you and it's just something that you cannot ignore anymore, that eclipse energy is working with you. After that eclipse, there is going to be integration, emotional clarity, and a course correction. Boundaries are going to get louder, but the message is really to simplify and stabilize and to build the next chapter from what is real, okay? Not what is fear. When I tap into the Galactic Federation, what they are saying to me is that this is not a fear portal. This is going to be a truth portal. What is unstable is going to be exposed so it can be released. Does that make sense? Choose coherence over that chaos. They're going to count on you creating that chaos, so don't let it happen. Instead, ground your body, clear your mind, protect your heart, protect your energy. Follow signals. Do not follow that static noise, okay? Let what is over just be over. If you want to know more about the energies in 2026, there are 2 podcasts that I dropped. They're on my website, sarahstarofficial.com, or you can find them on any of my social media pages. We have Megan Mary, our podcast about 2026 astrology and star seeds, and we also did Riding Through the Unknown with Michael last night, and we talked about the energies that are coming up in March. I'm Sarah Star, here with your space weather update for February the 28th. If you want to know how the space weather and the eclipse energy hits your personal chart, your personal life, head over to my website, book a reading with me. I do natal chart readings, starseed origin readings, tap into the Akashic records, all to figure out who you truly are.